Would Ann Dodge please come forward? Olive M. Dodge gave birth to Ann on March 26, 1958, who in turn gave birth 3 weeks ago to Jasmine Elizabeth. Ann, of course, was faster at it than most first-time mothers. But then she seems to have made a practice of being faster than others her whole life. I mean, what first-time mother comes before her due date? Only her nibs here. Her husband, Mark Smith, is arguably the best Nova Scotian softball player in history. The beautiful little child will probably have to live with more athletic expectations than any kid since Olympic champion Emil Zatopek and Olympic champion Dana Zatopek became parents. Ann, as a youngster, discovered before too long that she was better than most of her peers at sports. She was an outstanding volleyball player. She was county cross-country champion and the most valuable track athlete at George P. Vanier Junior High School, where she was named the best all-around athlete in her graduating class. Like most of the kids on the other side of the harbor, she got her chance to paddle very early in life. Her reason for concentrating on paddling over the other sports she enjoyed and played so well gave an early glimpse into the tenacious attitude which would carry her to national and international acclaim. She decided to concentrate on paddling because she couldn't master it easily. The fact that she found herself dumping into the frigid waters of Lake William every time she sat in a kayak, she took as a personal challenge which seemed to push her other sporting endeavors into the shadows. The newly formed Chima Club, about which you'll hear more when Ann's coach Frank Garner is inducted, was then operating out of a garage-like building on the edge of Lake William that became a second home for Ann and a number of her friends. At 13, she got her taste of big-time success when she and her 13 fellow war canoers won a bronze medal in the Canadian Championships. By the time she was 15 years old, she'd become the top junior ladies paddler in the province in K1, K2, and K4. If you're confused by this K1, K2, and C1, C2, it's rather easy. There are canoes and there are kayaks. A K is a kayak, a C is a canoe. A C2 is 2 paddlers in a canoe. A K2 is 2 paddlers in a kayak. So she's now, I'll repeat that sentence, junior ladies paddler, the fastest in the province in K1, K2, and K4. So in the 2 and 4, of course, she had company. By the following year, her 16th, she was the best in all 3 kayak events in the senior open competition. In the Canada Day Regatta that year on Lake Binook, she won 5 events, the junior K1, K2, and the senior K1, K2, and K4. Ann was a model athlete. Coach Frank Garner has said many times she was the most dedicated and most focused athlete he'd ever coached. Perhaps that's because he never caught her when she and her kayak mates used to stop at her house on the lake and enjoy a leisurely breakfast when they were supposed to be doing a long-distance workout. When they finished their grub, they'd splash a bit of water on themselves and paddle back to the clubhouse in an apparent lather. In truth, there were few times when Ann shortened any workout. As an adult, she continues to bring that dedication and focus to her life. The paddling fraternity added the juvenile category for under 18s in 1975. Or her list of accomplishments would even be longer than it is. On the other hand, she was forced to paddle against juniors and seniors long before she would otherwise have had to, and perhaps that helped her to become the international star that she indeed did become. What is for sure is that she became both junior and senior provincial champion at a very young age and junior champion at the national championships. By the time she reached grade 10, she was a wily veteran of 2 years in the kayak, and so with such marked experience behind her, she went off with Team Nova Scotia to the Canada Games in Burnaby, BC to compete with much older athletes. Since she was there anyway, she decided to enter the only 3 kayak events open to women, K1, K2 with Cynthia Weir, and the K4 with Cynthia Weir, Nancy Walker, and Susan Slimming. The results show that this precocious 15-year-old first won the K1, then she and Weir won the K2, and before they could celebrate their victory, the 2 of them proceeded to add Walker and Slimming to their kayak and take first place in the K4. In less than 4 hours, Ann Dodge had set the Canadian paddling community on their keisters. Nova Scotia won medals in 8 of the 9 paddling events that year, but no other athlete approached the success enjoyed by this 15-year-old. Between 71 and 84, Ann Dodge here brought 26 medals home to Nova Scotia from Canadian championships. The totals in those championships were 9 bronze, 6 silver, and 11 golds. In 1976, in Bulgaria, Garner took the junior team to the European Championships. It certainly turned out to be an exhilarating experience for Ann, who came back with gold medals for her efforts in both the K1 and K4. In the North American Championships, held in Montreal the year after the Olympics, she won a silver in the K1 and 2 golds in K2 and K4. Ann had her other international experiences as well at venues which mean a great deal more to the paddling community than they do to the rest of the world, which is so Olympic Games focused. In the Junior World Championships in Italy in 1975, Ann and her partner finished 8th. Not a medal, but when you stop to realize that this made their boat the 8th fastest in its class in the entire world, you need to stop and think what that really means. If you're a hockey fan, you think about the 8 best hockey players in the world, not only Canada, but in the whole world. If you're into basketball, imagine that not all of the so-called U.S. Dream Team would be in this category. Now that you're all done with that analogy, slide this bit of information in there. In 1975, when Ann finished her World Championship solo race in the K1, ladies and gentlemen, she was 5th. 5th in the world. Please give that a moment of contemplation. Her K2 finishes of 6th and 7th in the 77 Worlds in Duisburg, Germany, and 78 in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, might also be worth a bit more fuss than they ever received. Ann dared to dream the impossible. When she was 18, that impossible dream came true. She became the first female paddler from Nova Scotia to make the Olympic team. While training in Florida, she showed once again her unwillingness to give up when others might. In this instance, she refused to be the only one not sunbathing between workouts simply because she'd forgotten her suit. No problemo. She joined the rest of the team with a bikini she fashioned out of ace bandages. She said I couldn't find any dirt on her. She always behaved herself. She competed in the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, however, wearing the red and white of Canada. Her partner was Sue Holloway, who, though she spent most of her life somewhere in Upper Canada, was born in the Grace Maternity Hospital. So we know where she got her chutzpah. Though they didn't medal, they became the first Canadian women to ever make the Olympic finals, once again placing their boat among the fastest 8 in the world. From 1973 to 78, Ann Dodge set the following Lake Bannock records. Juvenile K1, K2, K4. Junior K1, K2, K4. Senior K1, K2, K4. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all there is. During her illustrious career, she set every record for women's kayak events in the Atlantic Division of Canadian canoeing. Her recorded K1 time of 2:02 is the longest standing record in the division. She set records at the national level in juvenile K2 and K4, and twice she paddled the K1 faster than any Canadian before her time. She, like most of our inductees, has tried to put something back into sport after retirement. She coached the Acadia volleyball team, and then she coached paddling at Chima for 3 years and spent 2 years in Windsor coaching the Pizigud team. Through all of her time-demanding dedication to sport, she's managed student life at Mrs. Murphy's Business College, Dalhousie, UNB, and Acadia. She has a business degree, a BPE, and a master's degree in PE, sport, and administration, all of which has inspired many, many young girls to broaden their horizons and reach for their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to introduce to you our 4th inductee of the evening, a fitness expert whose favorite meal nonetheless remains a submarine sandwich, a coach, a wife, a mother, in fact, a mother who seems to be trying to coordinate breastfeeding with getting up here on the stage here tonight. The woman who set every kayak provincial record it was possible to set, a Canadian champion, a national record holder, an Olympic paddler, a woman who achieved incredible status as the 5th fastest paddler in the world, a woman who did it all while remaining universally well-liked by her opponents and her teammates, a wonderful model for Nova Scotian youth, Ann Dodge.
Ladies and gentlemen, to make the presentation, another great Nova Scotia athlete, Penny LaRocque. And several months ago when I called you to inform you officially that you had been elected to the Hall of Fame, you said that particular date I might have a problem. We happen to be expecting our first child, and I hope that the child will cooperate. Jasmine did.
She did cooperate. 2 weeks ago she came, yeah.
I understand the first time you put her in the bathtub, she looked for oars. Is that right?
We have a little debate at the house whether she's going to paddle or whether she's going to throw a softball, but we'll wait and see.
I think she'll probably do a little of both and do them very, very well. It seems such a short time since you were out there and so active, and yet you have done so much since. But your sport, really, paddling, do you see that it's made great advances over the years from the time you started?
I certainly believe that it has. The great coaches that have been in this area, started by Frank Garner, kids have excelled to levels that we could only hope to aspire to. Kids have a lot of opportunities now, and they're doing very, very well. And with Chima having just won the national championship as the top team in this country, it certainly bodes well for the future for this sport.
And somebody mentioned at dinner tonight that there's an imbalance in the Hall of Fame, males and females, and I said, you know, tonight we have Ann Dodge and we have Karen Mason who are being inducted, and this is the wave of the future, because you two women represent really the beginning of a brand new era in provincial sports in the 1970s.
Well, that's very nice to hear. Karen's a very good friend, a very dear friend. We played volleyball against each other and then together, and it's a real honor to be going into the hall with her. I certainly hope that this will continue for the future. It's wonderful to see, people commented to me when they saw the picture in the paper, it was nice to see a female face there, and let's certainly hope it will continue.
We're going to see a lot more. Thank you. Ann Dodge, Hall of Famer par excellence. We have a message here for Ann that reads, "It means a lot to all of us, congratulating you, for we share in all the happiness of your achievements too. That's why we're especially wishing you the best of life's good things and all the satisfaction that a happy future brings." That's signed by all your American relatives, and we're very proud of you and your accomplishments. Looking for gold from baby Jasmine in the year 2004. Signed by Olive, Bing, Pam, Craig, Scott, and Mark. It will be yours. We'll deliver it to you.